Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sarah Danahy, and along with my co-chairs, Elizabeth Halajian and Kirsten Boyce, and the entire Philanthropy Awards Committee, we would like to welcome you today. Thank you for joining us on this lovely autumn day to celebrate the tradition and legacy of philanthropy in Chicago. For almost 50 years, AFP Chicago's Philanthropy Awards has recognized the outstanding achievements of individual, foundation, and corporate philanthropists, community leaders, volunteers, and fundraising professionals in our city. Today, we are excited to recognize and celebrate the people who embody the virtues of generosity and service to others that are hallmarks of philanthropy. Their contributions to the nonprofit sector and the fundraising profession, as well as to a diverse array of organizations and communities across our city, is extraordinary. Elizabeth?
Thank you, Sarah, and good morning, everyone. Such a pleasure to be here with you today. Over the past year, Kirsten, Sarah, and myself have had the distinct pleasure of collaborating with our fellow hardworking development professionals to present today's event. So if you are a member of the AFP Chicago Philanthropy Awards Committee, please stand so we can give a moment to recognize you and your leadership. Thank you. We are equally grateful to today's sponsors whose financial support not only make it possible for us to produce this incredible event, but also provide AFP Chicago with critical resources to develop and nurture a diverse community of fundraising professionals who advance positive social change throughout Chicago. And on that note, I would like to extend deepest thanks to this afternoon's presenting sponsor, Northern Trust. Thank you. And to all of our sponsors and supporters in the room, thank you. Truly, none of this would be possible without you. Kirsten?
It is our very great pleasure to introduce our host for our program this year. This year marks the 10th consecutive year where we are beyond grateful to WTTW's Chicago Tonight anchor, Brandis Friedman, for her generosity and willingness to serve as our MC. Please join me in welcoming Brandis to the stage to begin today's program.
Hello. Thank you, Kirsten, Sarah, and Elizabeth. Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. How are we? Happy Friday. I want to thank the Channel 11 table for the cheers. Thank you. I'm kidding. I am honored to be back again this year as your host. The AFP Chicago Philanthropy Awards, it really is, it's one of my favorite events because of the inspiration that I and everybody in the room comes away with. I think, I'm pretty sure my first year, I cried on stage in front of a room full of people, so we're going to avoid that this year. It's my 10th year, and I feel like you're not sick of me yet. So, each of these individuals, though, you all have displayed inspirational acts of kindness and generosity that play an important role in creating a better Chicago, a better country, and a better world for all of us. So, let's start by recognizing this year's distinguished honorees, and I know you're excited, but please hold your applause until I have named all of them, and then you can let it rip. Aisha Jaco, Barbara Morton, I know, good job, you're almost. Olivia Harris and Wyatt Parr of the Latin School of Chicago Student Philanthropy Initiative, Michelle Morales, Tom Wick, Susan and Bob Wislow, Michael O'Grady on behalf of Northern Trust, Jill Zimmerman and Kate Mayer, and Donald Campbell. See, that's good. You guys are good. You did it. I'm proud of you. Today, we're celebrating the passion and dedication of these honorees who are tireless ambassadors and advocates for the people, causes, and organizations they serve. Their commitment to service and advocacy is driving change and having tangible impact on their community, while also inspiring others to get involved and to make a difference. I want to thank you all for joining us to celebrate our honorees and their many accomplishments in service to philanthropy in our community. So to start us off today, I'm going to invite the first four, I can't count, the first set of honorees to the stage. I can't, it's not that funny. Aisha Jaco, Barbara Morton, Olivia Harris and Wyatt Parr of the Latin School, and Michelle Morales. Would you all please join me on stage? Just sit wherever you like. Is that everybody? Awesome. Okay, thank you. And congratulations to all of you. Good to see you. Let's take a moment and learn a little bit more about our first group of honorees today.
Aisha has been a visionary in designing our strategies to reduce inequities on the West Side. She is constantly thinking of new and innovative strategies to engage the community, to create wealth within the community, and affect the overall quality of life on the West Side.
Well, Aisha was the inaugural and our only choice for executive director for West Side United when we were creating it back in 2018. She's able to gather people and organizations around her, and her spirit is optimistic about what could be.
Aisha was really instrumental during the COVID pandemic when the former mayor called on West Side United to lead the COVID response. Aisha was at the table.
And for that, Aisha and West Side United won one of the first medals of honor that the city of Chicago ever gave out.
She truly believes that everyone deserves to live the longest, healthiest life possible, and she manifests that and lives that every day.
I want to say she's a holistic leader. She's more than just the talent that she does as an executive director. She brings all of herself. When I grow up, I'd like to be like Aisha Jaco.
My name is Joe Anderson, and I am the president of Lutheran Life Communities Foundation. I am pleased to introduce the Volunteer of the Year, Dr. Barbara Morton. Dr. Barbara Morton has spent a lifetime of service to Lutheran-related charities and educational institutions as a teacher, a principal, as a faculty member, and as the dean of one of the colleges of Concordia University. She has a lifetime of service before she became a volunteer at the Lutheran Home. Barbara has taken the helm as chair of the auxiliary of the Lutheran Home in Arlington Heights. She leads the board of that organization, which is over 100 years old. Barbara is the Energizer Bunny of volunteerism, and she is a great example for the other members of the auxiliary. Beyond Barb's efforts for organized fundraising campaigns, she has quietly been a lifetime giver to Lutheran charities of her own. She's friends with everybody, smiles at everybody in the hall, and makes sure that every resident receives a birthday card every year. I didn't know whether to call her Dr. Morton or Barbara because she doesn't stand on the ceremony of her title. She stands on her good works. So I would just say, thanks, Barb.
My name is Ingrid Dorr-Fitzpatrick. Officially, the title is Director of Academic Initiatives, one of which, by the way, is the Student Philanthropy Initiative. It was very difficult not to get drawn in by the kids and their initiative and what they envisioned they wanted to accomplish. Literally doing site visits to some of the organizations that had applied, learning what kinds of things and questions to ask, being, I think, immersed, in this case it was in the Uptown neighborhood, not just with the idea of who do we give money to, but the idea of learning a lot about different organizations and just what they have to do the good that they intended. They built all of this into something that could be passed on. Here's what you do, here's when you do it, and we're going to be bringing in some people from the outside to fill in where we think the gaps are. Being curious and exploring and actively figuring out ways to give back, I think, is something that we would want students to do, and that's what I see as at the core of this particular initiative.
So Michelle is definitely a leader who is outspoken, and I think it's because she has been a leader in a not-for-profit herself and knows the challenges of being on the other side. And so I think that kind of inspires us in many ways as grantees to be open with sharing what our concerns are and our challenges, and kind of opening up that power dynamic and really looking at it in terms of philanthropic funder to a grantee.
She is very focused on social justice and racial equity. And so you can see that in every room she walks into, in every conversation, whether it's talking to the government, whether it's talking to other nonprofits, whether it's talking to her peer foundations. She's looking at it at a lens for social justice.
The approach that the Woods Fund has is so meaningful for Chicago because I think there's a lot of distrust. And to think that you have a fund that, like the Woods Fund, who really wants to be part of that conversation and lean on you for your expertise is not only rewarding, but it really provides a sense of ownership and belief that we can be the change that we want to be. And so I think that, to me, is incredibly important in a grantor who can inspire other grantors to act in a similar way and kind of take away the red tape of philanthropic giving into something that is more simplified, but at the same time, so much more meaningful because it's built on trust.
So it's my pleasure to get us started today by introducing Aisha Jaco, recipient of the AFP Outstanding Community Leader Award, presented to an individual who's shown extraordinary leadership and advocacy for a cause that's resulted in significant and positive change for a particular neighborhood, issue, or segment of our community. As we saw in the video, Aisha exemplifies the qualities the Outstanding Community Leader Award seeks to recognize, dedicating her career to improving the health and economic vitality of the community she grew up in. Her leadership has clearly had a transformational impact on the quality of life for residents in her community. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to our Outstanding Community Leader Award recipient, Aisha Jaco.
Good afternoon. Thank you, AFP, for this recognition. Congratulations to all of the honorees. As a recipient of this award, I am honored to be in community with each of you. But I have to acknowledge that I am the sum of the dreams of my ancestors. I am honored to have members of my first community, my mom and my aunt, with me. I am honored to work with an amazing team. So in this work, I approach it with the African principle of Ubuntu. I am because we are. I am honored to have landed at Westside United after 21 years of working in community as a daughter of the West Side. I am the sum of our core partnerships with founding hospitals like Ascension Health, Cook County Health, Lurie Children's, Rush, Sinai Chicago, and UI Health. Our work is the sum of the investments made by our funders like Polk Brothers, MacArthur, Staines, JP Morgan Chase, just to name a few. I share this honor with the people of the West Side, and before I sit down, I would like everyone that has ever worked with Westside United as a founder, as a partner, as a funder, to stand with me now, please. Thank you for welcoming me into your community. And again, thank you for this honor.
I did not stand, but I have interviewed Westside United on Chicago Tonight many times. Aisha, congratulations again. Our next honoree, Dr. Barbara Morton. She's the recipient of this year's Outstanding Volunteer Award, which recognizes an individual who demonstrates exemplary volunteerism through the dedication of significant personal time, talents, and resources to a particular organization or group of organizations. In her role as the president of the Lutheran Home Auxiliary, Barbara, Dr. Morton, exemplifies the dedication to service this award seeks to honor. As we saw in the video, her dedication to volunteerism with Lutheran Life Communities is helping people live with dignity and support, a commitment truly worthy of recognition. Please join me in inviting our Outstanding Volunteer honoree, Dr. Barbara Morton, to the podium.
Thank you all so much. It is my pleasure to be here. It is an honor to be here. I want to thank everyone who works with me as a team back at the Lutheran Home. We have an auxiliary that we work together to enhance the lives of the residents. And I want to thank the organization here, the Chicago chapter of the Association of Fundraising Professionals, for including the category of volunteerism. Volunteers don't serve to be recognized, but you know, occasionally it's nice. So I thank Joe Anderson and the rest of the staff at Lutheran Home who were involved in my nomination. I thank my teammates and partners in the auxiliary who work very hard to enhance the lives of the residents. And I thank you for this award. Blessings to you.
Congratulations again to Dr. Morton, and it is nice to be recognized, isn't it? This year, we're pleased to present the Latin School of Chicago Student Philanthropy Initiative with the AFP Outstanding Youth in Philanthropy Award, which is presented to a youth leader or leaders. In this case, we have Olivia Harris and Wyatt Parr joining us. Or a youth-generated project and its team that has demonstrated a significant impact on the Chicago community by embracing the philanthropic tradition and values associated with serving the community. Starting as a student-led capstone project, the Student Philanthropy Initiative continues to cultivate a mindset of philanthropic service in students that gives them the opportunity to have a transformative impact on their community. Please join me in welcoming Olivia and Wyatt. These are our Outstanding Youth in Philanthropy honorees from the Latin School of Chicago.
We would like to thank AFP for this honor on behalf of the Latin School of Chicago and the Student Philanthropy Initiative. We are so grateful for the consideration. We would also like to thank our faculty advisor, Ms. Storr, who is the reason this is all possible. She has been with this initiative since its founding.
So Olivia and I are both seniors in high school right now, and we both joined the initiative our sophomore year, and we are super proud and happy to be the co-heads of the initiative this year. So this year we've decided to focus on health as our topic, because usually each year we pick a topic to really focus in on for our grant applications reviewing process each year. So we're just recently decided a few weeks ago that health is going to be our topic this year. And so we're just now kind of starting working on looking through different organizations to focus on and to send out all the applications to.
After COVID, we have had to rebuild, as I think many of you in this room have had to, and we are very excited about the future of this initiative and look forward to see what comes.
Congratulations to the students of the Latin School. Are you two missing school today? No? You don't have school today? What? That's not a good reason. It's grade report Friday. Slackers. I'm kidding. Congratulations. Every year, we recognize a member of the grantor community for their extraordinary service to the organizations and causes that their advocacy supports. The Professional Grantor Award is presented to a corporation or foundation giving officer recognized for their professionalism, sensitivity, and generous support to the nonprofit community. This is generally a paid staff position in a grant-making organization, and this year, our Professional Grantor Award recipient is Michelle Morales, president of the Woods Fund Chicago. Michelle has used her varied career opportunities, her experiences as a first-generation US-born Puerto Rican woman, and her platform to raise awareness and consciousness about the power of youth voice, the continued marginalization of youth of color, utilizing community input in decision-making, colonialism in Puerto Rico, and the diasporic experiences of colonized peoples living in the United States. She's also a vocal advocate concerning racially equitable workplaces and strongly encourages organizations to not only apply a racial equity and justice lens externally, but internally as well. Please join me in welcoming Michelle Morales to the lectern.
Already saw the awards earlier, so those are a little awkward. So I am so deeply humbled by this recognition. It's especially meaningful to me to know that my nomination actually came from nonprofit leaders and an organization dedicated to supporting fundraisers in the nonprofit sector. When I assumed the role of the president of Woods Fund Chicago almost 5 years ago, I was determined to bring the lessons and the painful experiences that I faced as a nonprofit CEO and a former fundraiser into the philanthropic sector. I committed to ensuring that Woods Fund would not perpetuate the harmful philanthropic practices of the past, but instead would embed trust into our processes and grant making while fully supporting and committing to racial justice. I'm very lucky, and I want to acknowledge our incredible team at Woods Fund and board who's seated here at this table, Andrea and Deborah, who are here with me today, and our board of directors, because this recognition belongs to them as well. They allow us to remain committed to these principles and dedicate themselves to the continuous reflection and interrogation needed to ensure that we are in right relationship with organizations that we support and with the broader movement and social justice ecosystem that is so vital to our city. In 2020, we fully embraced the principles of trust-based philanthropy. We committed to trusting those doing the work on the ground, listening to what they said they needed, removing any unnecessary burdens we placed on them, and offering genuine support rather than interrogation. To the nonprofits in the room, I urge you to continue to advocate for that trust. You know your work, you know your communities, and you know what's needed to transform our city. To the funders and the trustees in the room, I encourage you to adopt and integrate the principles of trust-based philanthropy into your own practices. Trust is deeply uncomfortable in our country, especially in a society where it is not a core value. But isn't it our role as funders to support and empower organizations and leaders, to encourage them to dream, to rest, and to provide the resources that they need to win? I say yes, so that we can achieve a city and a country where dignity is a right for all and not for a privileged few. Thank you so much.
Michelle had already seen the awards, so wasn't that exciting. Do-gooders aren't really here for the awards. Again, congratulations to all of you, and thank you for the work that you do. Everyone, we are at the halfway mark of today's program, so we're going to take a break for lunch, and then I'll come back in a little bit. Enjoy. Thank you. Hello again, everyone. I hope you're all either enjoying your lunch or you should be enjoying it very shortly. We are going to keep it moving. I am now going to introduce the 2024 president of AFP Chicago, Carlos A. Trejo, Director of Individual Giving at the Latino Policy Forum.
Thank you, Brandis. Good afternoon, everyone. I just ran up here and I realized I shouldn't have done that because I lost my breath. Also means I should go to the gym. It is a tremendous honor to be here with all of you today, surrounded by an inspiring group of leaders, colleagues, and friends who are committed to strengthening Chicagoland's nonprofit sector. Today, we celebrate the transformative power of philanthropy, a force that not only builds organizations, but empowers communities, drives social change, and makes a profound impact on the lives of countless individuals. And we are here to recognize the outstanding achievements of today's honorees, whose contributions exemplify the best of what philanthropy can accomplish. These remarkable individuals and organizations strengthen the fabric of our community every single day, and we are deeply grateful for their vision, generosity, and tireless efforts. This is one of my favorite events of every year that AFP puts on. For me, it's also a very deeply personal event. I first joined AFP Chicago as a fellow early in my career, and I know firsthand the profound impact that this organization has on emerging and veteran professionals in our sector. AFP didn't just offer me a network of peers and mentors, it shaped my understanding of what philanthropy's potential to drive systemic change and make our world more equitable. And I know many of you share similar experiences. This organization isn't just about professional growth, though that is certainly important. It's about fostering a community where we can support each other in our shared mission to make Chicagoland's nonprofits stronger and more sustainable. And philanthropy is the engine that drives that mission forward. Everyone in this room understands the importance of philanthropy in creating a just and equitable society. Philanthropy isn't just about giving, it's about investing in people, ideas, and futures. Whether it's a museum, a direct service provider, a place of worship, or a university, none of it happens without the passion and generosity of those who believe in their missions, and the fundraisers who help sustain them. AFP Chicago exists to support these professionals, people like you and me who dedicate their careers to advancing critical causes. Our commitment to inclusion, diversity, equity, and access is at the core of our work. It's what paved the way for me to become AFP Chicago's first Latino president. Thank you. And it continues to guide us as we create spaces for diverse voices in philanthropy to be heard and empowered. With your support, we can continue to provide professional development, networking opportunities, mentorship, and affinity groups that empower fundraisers from all backgrounds to thrive. This, in turn, strengthens the nonprofits we serve and amplifies the impact of philanthropy across our region. Today, I ask you to invest in the future of philanthropy by supporting AFP Chicago. By doing so, you're not just giving to an organization, you're fueling a movement that empowers individuals, supports nonprofits, and drives transformative change across Chicagoland. Whether you give to honor one of today's distinguished honorees or because you've experienced firsthand the impact of AFP and what it has had on your own career, your support matters. We've made it easy to contribute. There are QR codes at your tables and on the screens that will take you directly to a donation page. Whatever amount feels right and meaningful for you will make a meaningful difference. Before we continue, I want to offer my deepest thanks to our event sponsors, our incredible event chairs, Kirsten, Sarah, and Elizabeth, and the entire Philanthropy Awards Committee for their leadership and dedication in making today possible. And finally, a thank you to the AFP Chicago Board of Directors and all of our volunteer leaders for their tireless commitment to this organization. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you for celebrating the power of philanthropy and for being part of a community that lifts each other up and works towards a stronger, more vibrant Chicagoland. Now, let's enjoy the rest of the program.
Thank you, Carlos. I agree. This is one of my favorite events of the year as well. We're going to keep it moving. I am going to ask our next set of honorees to join us. Please welcome Tom Wick, Susan and Bob Wislow. Tom Wick table over there. Michael O'Grady, Jill Zimmerman, and Kate Mayer. Please join me on the stage. You may sit wherever you like, as long as it's right here behind me. All right, so before we get started with presenting them their awards, let's learn a little bit more about why they're here today.
Tom's very passionate about his work. He's in the office at 6:15 in the morning, and he doesn't leave till 6:15 in the evening. And he's the hardest working guy I know.
He should be recognized because what he represents is so important for the rest of us. He is an example of really good management and good advice for lots and lots of people.
I would describe Tom as a servant leader. He leads by example, and people appreciate that.
The atmosphere that he creates is very encouraging and yet demanding. And I think that's kind of a gift to be able to do that. You know, push people and at the same time excite them.
What I value about Tom the most over the 6.5 years and as well as today and going into the future is his friendship. He's been a great friend throughout the years. And I just want to say congratulations, Tom, for receiving a Benjamin Franklin Award. I can't imagine anybody who deserves it more.
I think Tom's two greatest characteristics are his empathy and his earnestness. He makes you want to do what you need to do. It's fun to know him and to be his friend.
We've had the privilege of working with Susan and Bob through our board for many, many years. In my mind, Susan and Bob join a great tradition of Chicago civic leaders who give of their time and their talent and their personal generosity to make the city better for everyone.
The Wislows have truly helped to make Chicago a better place for young children and families through their generous and deeply thoughtful philanthropy. Together, Susan and Bob are often the first to commit sponsorship contributions to our annual luncheons, and they continue to host guests at their event table so that others can learn about our work on behalf of young children.
There's no way that the Goodman would have been able to open its new building in those early days without Susan and Bob's involvement. Susan raised, along with the Women's Board, over $2 million, which was such crucial support in those early transformative years.
I think Bob and Susan are the embodiment of how civic leaders should be. If you look at Bob and Susan involvement with the library, I think one of the things that they were always intrigued by, it's not just about downtown. It's not just about Fulton Market. The library is in all 77 neighborhoods. It's really the largest democratizing force we have in the city.
Goodman Theater hosts a number of educational programs that are transformative. They instill confidence and creativity and curiosity, and they serve all ages. And all of those programs are offered free of charge. And none of this would be possible without the generosity and the support of people like Susan and Bob Wislow.
I was privileged to be with Susan on the board when she was chair of the board of Erickson Institute, and her leadership and direction for our institution was unwavering. She's a great and generous leader, and I applaud her for this honor as well.
I think Bob and Susan are not just financial and moral support of a lot of things. They're both also really funny and creative. And since Bob only wears suit and ties, probably at night as well when he sleeps, people don't realize how funny he is and how creative he is. So Bob and Susan, as one of the funniest, most creative couples here in town, congratulations.
Well, if I had to pick 3 words to describe Mike, it would be brilliant, generous, and thoughtful.
Mike O'Grady is the perfect leader. He is a human-first leader. Of course, he's a brilliant businessman, strategist, manager, but even more importantly, he leads with compassion, humility, and integrity, which also happen to be the DNA strands of Northern Trust itself.
Mike comes across as someone who is sincerely interested in other people's point of view. His open style allows people in the room to all voice their perspectives so that we end up with a better outcome. From day one in his role, he has shown up as a true partner to the Chicago Community Trust and brought the full breadth of resources from the Northern Trust to our partnership.
Northern Trust has had a profound impact on many of the institutions in Chicago. In fact, in many ways, they are the benchmark of how civic business leaders should engage with the many institutions that make this city great.
Northern Trust, its employees, led by Mike, have always understood the importance of contributing to arts and culture by elevating the organizations that make this city so special. And in that way, they are local first and internationally significant second, but a close second.
When Jill and Kate talk to, I think, partners and stakeholders, they do it with such ferocity and intimacy that it's not for the organization, but for the larger cause.
They take a holistic approach. They look at the need, they look at the sources of supply, and they put the two together. And that is what the Greater Chicago Food Depository does so well.
They are unafraid to confront the true hard facts around hunger and security. And I think those true hard facts really led us to really talk about racial equity and what we needed to do as an organization to really not only decrease food insecurity, but to decrease the negative disproportionate impact on our Black and brown neighbors.
Kate was terrific with respect to COVID-19. We raised the money we needed to raise to feed people who were unemployed and had no source of income for food. And we raised the $74 million we needed to raise to build the new facilities for food preparation and storage.
I can't reiterate enough how important the Greater Chicago Food Depository, and in particular Kate and Jill, are to our region. They don't just try to solve the immediate problems, but they try their darndest through policy change and through their Nourish campaign to leave behind a system that will be stronger, well into the future.
They're both a lot of fun to work with, and they're fun to work with because you can see they care about what they do. Their passion for people who don't have enough food to eat is clearly evident in everything they do and the way they work every single day.
Hopefully we can get like a file of the video to the honorees. I don't think any of them can see it, but they can hear it. And it still has an impact. Let's keep the celebration going with our Benjamin Franklin Award, which is presented to a fundraising professional who's attained significant achievements in a long career and is looked to by the profession as a role model. This is generally a person with 10 or more years experience in fundraising that's contributed to the field as a professional, trainer, mentor, and/or volunteer. And this year, AFP Chicago is pleased to present Tom Wick of Rush University Health System, or System for Health, with the Benjamin Franklin Award in recognition of his long and distinguished career in the fundraising profession. Tom has spent 38 years raising philanthropic funds in higher education, human services, and medicine, before arriving at Rush University Medical Center as part of Rush University System for Health in 2018. He worked at the YMCA of Metro Chicago, the University of Chicago, the Harvard Graduate School of Education, McAllister College, Lake Forest College, and Illinois Institute of Technology. Is that all of them? Where is he? Did I get them all? I got them all. In each of his roles, the gifts Tom and his teams have raised have funded key priorities that have enabled each institution to fulfill its mission, even more effectively and positively impact the lives of people, families, and communities. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our 2024 recipient of AFP Chicago's Benjamin Franklin Award, Tom Wick.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks. Good afternoon. I am blown away to be the 2024 Benjamin Franklin Award recipient. I want to thank AFP for hosting this event, which really is like a pep rally and a reunion for me. Love it. But AFP also, and I want to thank AFP also for creating meaningful opportunities to advance our careers and building a strong and vibrant community of fundraisers. It's an honor to receive this recognition with such an impressive group of fellow awardees. Given your accomplishments, you are demonstrating that philanthropy is for all ages and that all of us can help Chicago's nonprofits have a positive impact on the lives of many. I'm truly humbled to become a member of the Benjamin Franklin Club. This membership is a who's who of fundraising leaders in Chicago and is truly a hall of fame. Some of you have been my colleagues, some of you have been my bosses. All the awardees I know have been unbelievable mentors to me. Thank you for letting me stand on your shoulders and reach for my professional stars. I've been blessed to work with some of Chicago's most influential philanthropists. Their deep commitment to important causes has been inspiring to me. Their strategic philanthropic approach has taught me the importance of being donor-centric and that fundraising is so much more than just reaching a dollar goal. As many have heard me say, philanthropy is a team game. And I'd like to give a shout out to my Rush colleagues. I'm a bit biased, but we're the best damn team in Chicago, fundraising team. I do want to thank all the colleagues that I've worked with for your partnership to put into action the activities that have generated vital philanthropic funds for our organizations that have allowed them to fulfill their missions. It has been so fulfilling for me to be in the same boat, rowing in the same direction with all of my colleagues to produce positive outcomes for the benefit of many others. Those of us in fundraising are often asked about what's your best ask? Well, that's easy for me. That happened on April 29th, 1988 at Jeremiah Sweeney's in South Bend, Indiana. That was the moment when I asked my then girlfriend to marry me. Susan, I know that you don't appreciate fundraising as much as I do, but you've lived with it for over 35 years of marriage. Thank you for always being there for me. You've made me a better and more complete person, which has allowed me to do my work with more confidence. And I did what every gift officer's taught to do, don't fill the air after I made the ask. I had to wait a little bit, but I love being a fundraiser. Like the greatest rock and roller of all time, Bruce Springsteen was born to run, I was born to fundraise. And I've come to believe that our profession is both noble and powerful. I'd like to share an example to prove this point. While we must achieve annual and campaign goals, these objectives don't drive our work. As fundraisers, we have a passion for the causes that our organizations are addressing, which motivates us to partner with our leaders to develop the ideas that will enable our organizations to fulfill their missions more effectively. Ultimately, it's these ideas that inspire and convince philanthropists to make gifts. While the level of gift is important, it is so much more rewarding for me to know that a donor's contribution to an idea that we helped our leaders develop will positively impact our communities, the city, and our region. We're all very busy, but I want to encourage everyone to take the time to view the impact of our work. It is truly the collective effort of everyone on the team. Annual giving, alumni relations, development ops, research, prospect management, corporate and foundation relations, major gifts, communications, events, volunteer engagement, campaign management, business operations, and stewardship. And if I left anyone out, I'm sorry, but that's our team. That's the team effort is what prompts people and institutions to make gifts. At those moments when we observe the impact of philanthropy, please remember that what we do and how doesn't just put our organizations in a better position to change and transform lives. Colleagues, what we do and how puts our organizations in an even better position to actually save lives. With this powerful principle in mind, let's get back out there and continue to make great things happen for our organizations. Thank you.
Congratulations again, Tom. I would like to thank Tom's wife, Susan, for her service. And to the spouses of all the development professionals. I used to be one. All right. I am now pleased to present our Distinguished Philanthropist Award, which is presented to an individual, family, or family foundation that has generously donated from personal resources for a minimum of 10 years and has made a significant impact in funding to a particular issue or a variety of philanthropic causes. This year, our recipients are the first of two dynamic duos today, Susan and Bob Wislow, whose combined engagement in Chicago's philanthropic community exemplifies the key quality of depth and breadth this award seeks to honor. Between the two of them, they have played a role in almost every aspect of civic life in Chicago, from the humanities to education to healthcare to urban planning and civic engagement. That is an extraordinary commitment to service through philanthropy. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the recipients of AFP Chicago's 2024 Distinguished Philanthropist Award, Susan and Bob Wislow.
It's kind of beyond Bob and my imagination to be included in this group of esteemed Chicagoans who have received this award and this honor in past years. We're truly grateful and truly humbled for this. Thank you to AFP and all of you here. Everyone's talking about one thing. I'm coming from another point of view. It's a little bit selfish. What does one say to this incredible, dedicated group that enhances the culture of Chicago and addresses the needs of our citizens? For every moment of support or volunteer I've given, I have received in return decades of gifts. Above all, cherished friendships and countless opportunities. Opportunities like learning what it takes behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, in the middle, to create the sensational theater productions, one after another. I'm just blessed to have been part of it and understand it. Getting to understand issues of early childhood education, watching research leading to public policy changes, seeing what it takes to put together a comprehensive museum exhibit. I feel enlightened, grateful, and purposeful to have worked and learned these with truly fantastic Chicago educational and artistic organizations. I feel we're so lucky to do what we do. So when we experience Chicago and all of the world and what it has to offer in these areas, we see it with a more educated eye. The experiences are deeper and richer. With the support of my extraordinary involved 55-year life partner, these opportunities have opened a door to a new joy in my life. Thank you for this special honor.
I think Susan meant 55-year-old. But I'd like to start by congratulating all our fellow awardees and the organizations that you represent. Susan and I have never lived outside the city limits of Chicago and hope we never do. And for that reason, we really greatly admire and appreciate the work that each of you and your organizations do to make Chicago the special place that it is. I've had the great honor of actually working with everybody on some organization on this stage, a sheer coincidence. And Jill and Kate, that includes reboxing hundreds and hundreds of cereal boxes. But you wouldn't let me keep those decorder rings. Susan and I were with our CFO this morning, and we mentioned to her that we were a bit nervous that we were going to lunch with hundreds of Chicago's best fundraising professionals. She looked at us like we were crazy and immediately confiscated our credit cards, our checkbooks, and our wallets. So, but jokes aside, we would like to focus our attention where we believe it really belongs today. And that is to say thank you to all the amazing fundraising professionals who are here today. And it's your unique ability to raise the desperately needed funds that your organizations need. And it's what your organizations do that makes Chicago the best city in our nation. You fundraising professionals are the economic engines that make your organizations work. And we know that asking for money is really, really hard work, and getting it is even harder. Yet each of you somehow accomplish your fundraising goals in such thoughtful and magical ways that you make your donors your friends, you connect your donors deeply to the organizations that you operate, and most of all, you make your donors proud of their philanthropy. So congratulations to all of you, the really hard work that you do in fundraising that is so critical to making Chicago a better place for everybody that visits here. Susan and I salute you all in the hard fundraising work you do every day. On a personal note, we would like to thank those people who nominated with us, and I'm going to steal something from earlier and ask all those here from the organizations Susan and I work with to stand and be recognized. A huge thank you to the AFP for this wonderful honor.
You can't leave yet. Nice try. Take the award and run. Congratulations again, Susan and Bob, and for all of you who are planning on making an ask. They didn't bring the money with them. Next, we are pleased to recognize a member of the Chicagoland corporate community for their support of the philanthropic community with our Executive Leader Award, presented to a business leader whose outstanding leadership has garnered business and civic support for philanthropy. This year, our honoree is Michael O'Grady, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Northern Trust, who's accepting this award on behalf of the company in recognition of its commitment to philanthropy in our community. Under Mike's leadership, Northern Trust has led the charge to define corporate social responsibility as one of Chicago's most philanthropically engaged and visible companies. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the recipient of AFP Chicago's 2024 Executive Leader Award, Mike O'Grady.
So thank you, Brandis. Appreciate that introduction. And I also want to congratulate all of the fellow honorees this afternoon. And I have good news for you, Bob. Not surprisingly, the AFP is ahead of your CFO. They have a QR code that they put up there, and I think you still have your phone, so you can still contribute today. So I also want to thank the board of the AFP for this honor. And in particular, I want to thank Julian and Andrea and Madeline for your very nice comments, kind comments up front in the video. And in particular, because as much as I appreciate the comments about me, it's really the comments about Northern Trust that rang true and are so important to what we do. So thank you for those comments. And, you know, that's where I would want to start, which is to talk about Northern Trust, I'll say the institution, because it has a deep history going back to 1889. And right from the beginning, the institution was committed to being a strong supporter of the communities that we all worked and lived. And that continues through to today. But if you go back to that time period, just shortly after the founding, shortly before the World's Fair in 1893, when it was being constructed, there was a fire that happened on the grounds. And unfortunately, some of the construction workers perished. And the young leader and founder of Northern Trust, Byron Laughlin Smith, was touched by the situation, in particular one family where the father had passed away and the widow had 9 children. And what was most interesting to me about this story is not only did he write a check for that family, but he realized not only if it was that one family that was in trouble, that there had to be many more. And so he formed a fund and began to fundraise and collect from other members of the community to support those who had been impacted by this tragedy. And really, it's from that beginning, I would say, that the company has had this culture of not only being a part of the community, but also contributing, certainly in funding, but also in our time and commitment. And that's why, as much as I could talk about Northern Trust as an institution, like any company or institution, it's really about the people, ultimately. And so, as has been mentioned, I'm here on behalf of 23,000 Northern Trust employees, or partners as we call each other, who are a part of the communities, not only here in Chicago, but around the world where we operate. I promised I wouldn't name names because there's so many people at Northern that deserve that recognition, and so we wouldn't stop. But it does start certainly with our philanthropic efforts. And I'm very proud to say I think we have the best philanthropic team that's out there that does a great job. But then it goes to a number of our executives, many of which are here today, who serve on the boards of some of these institutions, some of them that are up here today as well. But then even beyond that, really what we try to do is to ensure that every Northern Trust partner is a part of what we do. And so as an example, October is what we call Achieving Greater Together month. And it's a month where we really try to focus to get as many of our partners involved in volunteering in one way or another. And I can tell you, just past halfway through the month, we've already surpassed our targets. I'm looking at Shauna Hayes here because she's leading this effort for us. And yes, it's about what we can give back to the community, but as mentioned earlier, what we really find, it's what we get back as partners with those volunteering efforts. And so it makes us a better company, and frankly, the type of company that we're all proud to be a part of. The last thing I want to leave you with is just with so many institutions and organizations here in the room that either I have the privilege or have had the privilege of working directly with, but also my partners have had that opportunity. I want to commend you for what you do because it really is something where in those experiences I can tell you, not only do I really enjoy the work and enjoy the friendships I've developed, but it's really inspiring to see leaders for these types of organizations. Frankly, I think my job is pretty tough, but when I see what some of my partners are having to deal with their organizations, it really does inspire me to follow in their leadership. So once again, thank you very much, and I appreciate being a part of today's event.
Mike's taller than I am. He's taller than a lot of us. Congratulations, and of course to the team at Northern Trust as well. I did an event with you all last week, so that's one last week. What are we doing next week? This year, AFP Chicago is presenting a special award to Jill Zimmerman and Kate Mayer to recognize and honor them for their exemplary partnership as a Chief Executive Officer and Chief Philanthropy Officer, resulting in their outstanding efforts in combating hunger and food insecurity across the Chicago area. As we saw in their video, Jill and Kate are relentless advocates for their organization and the people they serve, persistent in their insistence that the racial inequities of hunger be recognized and addressed. Their extraordinary leadership through the COVID crisis has had a lasting impact on the quality of life for the communities they serve, and their collaborative spirit is an example to all chief fundraisers and CEOs working together to evaluate the role of philanthropy in nonprofit organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in inviting our special award recipients, the dynamic duo Jill Zimmerman and Kate Mayer, to the podium.
Okay, I do get to move that mic up. Good afternoon, everyone. First, it is wonderful to be in the room with so many familiar and, frankly, so many new faces. Thank you, Grace and John, for those wonderful, kind words, and a shout out to John Edwardson, who is at our table somewhere over there. And thank you to AFP Chicago and the selection committee for recognizing Kate and me. Although Kate and I are accepting this award, it truly belongs to the team at the Greater Chicago Food Depository. And particularly, I'm sure John, oh, there you are, have a wonderful team, wonderful fundraising team. I do believe that the development team at the Greater Chicago Food Depository is the best. They are an outstanding and incredibly talented group of people. And then I also want to recognize Kate, part of the dynamic duo, which I didn't know that we were, but that's a new name I'm sure that will be floating around the food depository soon. Kate is not only an inspirational leader, but I've learned a tremendous amount from her. And many of you may or may not know that Kate led development for many years before I stepped into that role. And she also led the first capital campaign. And so it's been a pleasure and an honor to work with her for the last 12 years. The Nourish campaign was an endeavor that John Edwardson and Steve Koch chaired. And like most campaigns, it was a big undertaking. I'm grateful for their leadership, but I'm particularly grateful for the persistence, especially through the pandemic. John was sharing with me, he said that he can remember all the times that I was like whispering in his ear, and I don't know what I'm going to do with my time now that I'm not going to be able to talk to John and Steve every week. And to our many supporters who have been with us on this journey, we're also deeply grateful. I'm so proud of the support we've received and the opportunity to have played a part in this extraordinary effort. Thank you again for recognizing the Greater Chicago Food Depository and our team.
Thank you, Jill. I have a dirty secret, and that is, despite the fact that I am now part of a dynamic duo, which is awesome, and in spite of the fact that I did, in fact, lead the development team at the Food Depository, I am not a fundraiser. I am an advocate, I am an agitator, I am often a troublemaker, a witness, a storyteller, but I am fortunate to get to do this work with some amazing people like John, like Jill, like the powerful team at the Greater Chicago Food Depository, the development team, but also the wider team, many of whom are here, who, in addition to having an incredible set of skills, help keep me in line, and I appreciate that, so thank you to all. I just want to say, what a beautiful room. To the AFP for bringing us together, thank you. I'm humbled. There are so many people in this room right now who have walked in through various paths. Different missions or jobs have brought you here, but you have come into this beautiful room because you love our city and because you want amazing things to happen. I know that we have partners who support our work, volunteers who have been in the trenches with us. We have partners at Feeding America and Northern Illinois Food Bank and many of our frontline partners who do the hard work of feeding our neighbors every day. And we have many supporters. All of you have chosen to be in here because you love this great city. But you also know that as we are in this magnificent room, in a gorgeous hotel, in a neighborhood that literally is called magnificent, in the greatest city in the world, we have neighbors, more than 1 million of them, who in this very moment don't know where their next meal is going to come from. And I know that that is heavy, particularly as we have just had this experience of having a meal together. But it's actually the thing that reminds me how beautiful this room is. Because of you, because of the fact that you choose to work every day, whether you are at the food depository, a friend of the food depository, or you are engaged in some other incredibly important work. Because of you, that is how we rise up and respond and truly make this city great. So I am going to take a page from Aisha's playbook and Bob's playbook. If you work at the Greater Chicago Food Depository, support the Greater Chicago Food Depository, work at Northern Illinois Food Bank, Feeding America, any of our amazing partners that are in the room, if you have volunteered or helped feed any of our neighbors, please stand up. Okay, now that is a beautiful room. Thank you so much, AFP.
Congratulations again to the dynamic duo. Where's the Greater Chicago Food Depository table? Where y'all at? Okay, so y'all are gonna help me with using the name around the office, right? We're gonna keep it moving. Another round of applause for our awardees, please. I'm gonna allow them to go back to their tables and visit with their people, because we have our final award of the day. At this time, I'm going to invite Kim Campbell to join me on stage to accept the AFP Founders Award, which is being posthumously awarded to Don Campbell. Kim, where are you, friend? Anyone? Oh, there she is. Hey. I'm going to give her a second to arrive. Hi. And then we're going to take a moment to recognize Don's legacy within AFP and his generosity within the nonprofit sector.
Don Campbell was really a visionary in the philanthropic world. He invested in organizations, and more importantly, he invested in people. He was a leader in innovation, in ethical fundraising, and the number of people who were influenced by him and are still in the industry is immeasurable.
So John left an incredible legacy, not only through the firm Campbell & Company, but also through his involvement with the professional organization. He was one of the founders of what was then known as the Chicago Society of Fundraising Executives, which was a chapter of the National Society of Fundraising Executives, which eventually became AFP. He was always thinking about fundraising, and whether he was involved with a client or with a nonprofit organization where he served as a volunteer or a donor, he was always pushing them to think about different ways of fundraising.
Don was very much committed to every organization he worked with and all the individuals with whom he worked. Don Campbell brought a sense of humor as well as innovation to fundraising. When you were in the office with Don, you knew you'd laugh and think of new things to do in the fundraising world, all in the same day.
So John was a real visionary and a real cheerleader, and he was always pushing people to dream big. And if they wanted to raise $10 million, he would say, well, why not go for 15? Don was a very generous person, a very caring person. He was It was really important for him to invest in people.
Today, I'm sure we can't even count the number of people that he mentored, influenced, and set on the path of fundraising. The organizations he helped, the people they serve, and the individuals within the industry are all better off for having known Don Campbell.
So the AFP Founders Award is reserved for a nominee whose philanthropic contributions to the community are deemed exceptional and cannot otherwise fit into a single defined award category. This certainly defines Don Campbell, who spent his life giving back to charities that were important to him and supporting the communities he loved. Don focused on improving the world around him and has left a lasting impact on the fundraising profession. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Don's daughter, Kim Campbell, who will accept our 2024 Founders Award on behalf of Don Campbell.
I am a little taller than you. I am a little taller than you. It's truly an honor to be here. I have grown up hearing about these luncheons, but this is my first one. It's 5 stars, it's very good. I'm honored to accept the Founders Award on behalf of my father. I know that he would be full of energy and super giddy and prideful about this. He would not only be ecstatic for the recognition, but also for the impact that he was able to make throughout his life, whether through fundraising efforts or simply in the way that he supported others. My father was someone who recognized potential in everyone and worked tirelessly to help them reach their goals. While he may no longer be with us, his legacy of generosity, hard work, and commitment to make the world a better place lives on, especially in all of the wonderful people in this room. I want to thank AFP for recognizing his life work and his passion and honoring him with this award. I know he would be incredibly proud, and I am incredibly grateful to accept this on his behalf and add it to his collection. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim, and she is taller than me. Thank you, Kim, and congratulations again to you and your family. AFP never fails to find the people in our community who deserve recognition for their generosity in offering their time, talent, and treasure to the causes and organizations that inspire their passion for service and for giving back. So what an extraordinary group of honorees today. Let's take one more moment to congratulate all of them en masse, please. As usual, it's been another honor for me to join you all, 10 years running. Now I'm going to welcome back to the stage the 2024 Philanthropy Awards chairs to say a few parting words. Here again are Kirsten, Elizabeth, and Sarah.
Brandis, thank you. And can we get one more huge round of applause? Brandis has been our generous host of this event for the last 10 years. And as you can see, the fashion has been on point every single one of those 10 years. We are so grateful you give your talents and your time to this special program. And I'd once again like to thank my co-chairs, Kirsten and Sarah, our incredible awards luncheon committee, and the AFP Chicago board. So as we close the book on another awards luncheon, please think about the champions of philanthropy in your own lives and your networks. And I encourage you to submit a nomination for the 2025 awards. With your help, we will continue to recognize the ambassadors, advocates, and champions that make this community, this room, as so many of you have said the magic is in, a better place for all of us. So once again, on behalf of the co-chairs and our committee, thank you and have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you.